Everyone's telling you that 4K is the future of gaming, that you need to upgrade everything to get the best experience, but I've been gaming at 1440p for years now, and honestly, I think most people are getting played by the marketing. Whether you're gaming on console and wondering if 4K is even worth chasing, or you're building a PC and deciding where to spend your money, the choice between 1440p and 4K isn't as obvious as the internet wants you to believe. Today I'm going to break down why 1440p might actually be the smarter choice in 2025, and why chasing 4K could be costing you more than just money. So when we talk about 1440p versus 4K, we're talking about pixel count. 1440p, which is also called QHD, is a resolution of 2560 by 1440, which gives you about 3.7 million pixels, while 4K pushes that up to about 8.3 million. Now if you're on console, your PS5 or Xbox picks the resolution based on the game you're playing and what display you're connected to. You usually get that choice between performance mode and quality mode, but you're not making a manual resolution choice, the console is. If you happen to already be using a 1440p monitor for work or as a hybrid setup, your console will output what it can and you're not really losing anything meaningful. On PC though, you do get to make that choice. You can decide whether to game at 1440p or 4K, and that's where the real value discussion starts. Here's where things get interesting, right? Gaming at 4K is genuinely demanding. You're asking for your graphics card to render more than double the pixels compared to 1440p, and that translates directly into frame hits. Let's say you're getting 100 frames per second in a game at 1440p, and if you jump that up to 4K with the same settings, you might see that drop to 45 or 50 frames per second. And that's not a small difference, and it's something you'll notice when you're playing a game. On PC, you can fine-tune this exactly how you want, but the math will stay the same. More pixels means lower frame rates unless you're running seriously high-end hardware. And that's going to take us into cost. This is where the 4K dream gets expensive really quick. To game comfortably at 4K with high settings and good frame rates, you're looking at flagship graphics cards that cost thousands. For 1440p gaming, graphics cards like Nvidia's RTX 4070 Ti or AMD's RX 7900 XT will give you high frame rates with settings pretty much cranked up. Now these might not be the latest on the market, but you're talking about saving over $1,000 just on the graphics card alone. Then there's the display cost. A good 4K gaming monitor with higher than 60Hz refresh rates is going to set you back a lot more than a quality 1440p display that's at least 165Hz. And here's the controversial bit. The visual difference between 1440p and 4K isn't as dramatic as marketing wants you to believe, especially when you're actually gaming on a monitor at a desk. Now don't get me wrong, 4K on a big screen TV in a story-based game is fantastic. Depending on what you're playing, the difference could be there, but it's not going to be life-changing. You'll notice the visual differences most in menus and text, but during fast-paced gameplay, when you're focused on the action, that extra sharpness becomes way less important. And console players already know this. How many times have you been playing a game in performance mode and you've completely forgotten you're not getting maximum visual settings? You're too busy actually playing to notice the difference. Gaming at 1440p isn't just easier on your wallet, but it's easier on your entire system as well. Your graphics cards doesn't have to work as hard, which means lower temperatures, quieter fans, and less power consumption. Your hardware lasts longer when it's not constantly running at maximum load, and you might even delay your next upgrade cycle by a year or two. This is why I think 1440p is the sweet spot for most gamers in 2025. You get a significant visual upgrade over 1080p without the massive costs associated with trying to bump up to 4K. For PC gamers, you can build a system that absolutely crushes games at 1440p for the same budget that would struggle with 4K. You'll get much higher frame rates, which will equal smoother gameplay, and realistically, it's excellent visual quality without breaking the bank. And here's the thing, in real gameplay, frame rates usually matters more than resolution. Going from 60 FPS to 100 plus is going to have a lot more impact on your gaming than going from 1440p to 4K resolution, as your game's going to feel a lot more responsive and a lot more smoother and fluid. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying 4K is not the way to go. I'm not saying that it's wrong. What I am saying is that obviously the games you want to play will be a deciding factor, but realistically, it's also going to come down to if you've got the budget for the high-end hardware you need. For example, the flagship GPU, the CPU to support that, and ultimately the 4K display that's higher than 60Hz. Because if you have that budget for high-end hardware and you prioritize visual fidelity over everything else, then 4K is going to look great great. It's going to be stunning. If you're a content creator, a video editor, or you use your setup for work as well as gaming, that 4K setup is obviously going to have its benefits. But for most people, especially if you're choosing between spending money on 4K versus spending that same amount of money on better performance, faster storage, or other components altogether, 1440p usually wins for that same or even lesser budget. We live in a time where the gaming industry wants to sell you 4K everything because it sounds impressive and justifies paying premium price tags, but 1440p gaming in 2025 is excellent. It's affordable, and for most people, it's the smarter choice. You get great visuals, very smooth performance, and you save money that you can spend on other parts of your setup. Whether you're building a PC or upgrading your graphics card, don't let the idea of 4K pressure you into spending money you don't need to spend. 1440p is going to give you the best blend of performance, cost, and visual quality, which is going to be a smarter way to spend your money. And that is my take on why 1440p might be the better choice for your gaming setup in 2025. If this helped you think through the 1440p versus 4K decision, hit that like button and consider subscribing for more practical gaming and tech advice. Let me know in the comments what resolution you're gaming at right now and whether you think the 4K upgrade is worth it. I personally game at 1440p, so I'm genuinely curious to hear your experiences. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.